You know, he's a junior brother to Yaya Jammeh. We call him Kalilai too, Kalilai Junior. And you have Lance Corporal Lamin Fati was there.
Do you recall who he was assigned to?
Lance Corporal, at that time, I don't know exactly whom he was assigned to, but he was there. Then Alaji Martin also was there.
Do you recall his rank at the time?
At that time, I believe he was either a staff sergeant or 002. I can recall, until I refer, can I be referred to my file, please, if I can be granted?
Do you have a file with you here?
Yeah, I have a list that their names were listed.
How did you prepare that list?
Eh?
How did you prepare that list?
You know, when I was writing my statement, later those arrested, I compiled them together, and those who I recognize, I listed their names.
And did you list all of these names from your own memory? Or
Yeah,
were
from
you
my own memory. Yeah.
You may refer to that.
Okay. Yeah, and I also have Musa Jammeh. Buba Jammeh, Musa Jammeh, yes, these were the people I recognized at Lamin Fati.
Musa Jammeh, what was his rank at the time?
Musa Jammeh, I believe he was also a 002.
Was he assigned to any particular
No, he was
individual or post?
attacked to State House.
So you saw all of these people, meaning the various council members, as well as the people you mentioned, meaning their guards and the people who were with them. Yeah. You also mentioned Army Commander Babukar Jatta. With this big entourage, can you tell us what happened next? Where did you go when you left Mile 2?
When we left Mile 2, we went to Fajara Barracks.
Do you recall around what time this was?
This was around after 1 to 2. I believe from around 2, 1, 2. This was the time we were taken to my Fajara Barracks.
Okay, let's make sure we're clear about this. So it's around after midnight that you arrived at Yundum Barracks.
Yeah.
You said that you fell into an ambush.
Yeah.
Then you were arrested, beaten. A number of individuals were beaten.
Yeah.
Then you were put in a truck.
Yeah.
And you were in that truck for about an hour or so. Then you were taken to Mile 2. And you were in Mile 2 for about an hour.
An hour, yeah.
So this is very early in the morning. We're at least looking at after 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, it was after around that, from 2 a.m. upwards.
Okay. So can you tell us what happened when you arrived at Fajara Barracks?
When we arrived at Fajara Barracks, we were asked to parade. Then we were paraded, and the soldiers were behind us.
Where were you paraded?
Inside the parade ground.
Who asked you to parade?
Sana Sabali, the former vice chairman.
How did you get out of the truck in order to be paraded?
When we reached there, they told us to on board. Then we come by ourselves. Let's this man, Yanko Sana Sabali, this man, Dotfal and Basiru Baro.
Where were Dotfal?
They were lying inside the vehicle. And I'm the very person who even carried Basiru Baro. from the vehicle. When he stood, he cannot stood. Then they tell me, leave him. And later the soldiers came and make him up. Then bring where we were paraded. He was standing, he cannot stand, then he fall down again.
So you said Basiru Barrow and Dotfal were still in the truck. You helped Basiru Barrow. What happened to Dotfal?
Dotfal also, somebody, I don't know who among the soldiers who pulled him out of the, he was even forced. He hold his leg and just pull him out of the truck on the ground. Then they carry him where we were paraded. And Dotfal also, at that time, he cannot stand.
Do you recall who pulled him out of the truck?
No, I cannot remember the boy. But for Basiru Barrow, I am the very person who made Basiru out of the truck.
You said you were paraded.
Yeah.
What were you wearing at that time?
We were naked. We were stripped nakedly.
Who stripped you naked?
Immediately you are arrested, take everything from you.
So let's make sure this is clear. At what point were you stripped naked?
At Unum Barracks. All of us who were arrested at Unum, we were all undressed. Everything that was within our body was taken out.
So you were transported to Mile 2 while you were naked?
Yeah.
And you stayed in Mile 2 in the same?
Yeah.
And thereafter, in the same condition, you were taken to Fajara Barracks?
Yeah.
And at Fajara Barracks, you were all paraded?
Yeah.
In that same condition. Can you tell us what happened next?
And there, Sana Sabale started after counting 3. 1, 2, 3, fired! Then they started firing at us. Then that's the time soldiers started, you see, people are falling down. Until around around 6, 7, when I heard somebody was talking to him, no, but Allah stop. And that voice seems to me like Babkar Jata, who was telling them that Allah stop Sai. That time, I think I was left with only Mafuji, Sonko, who were physically on the ground. But the rest, and others have run. You know, earlier I tell you on the statement that others started running. One of them was hit on the back and said, oh, I am boom, I am boom, I am boom. Let's run, let's run. I told him, look, even if you run, Allah said you will die, you will die. If you stay, Allah safe, you will be safe. So some noise was made behind us. That's the time when these people started running towards the training school end.
So let's take what you've told us step by step. You were paraded, and then Senasabali counted 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
and then everyone started firing.
Yeah.
Prior to that, do you recall who was present with Senasabali?
All these people I've said, Babukar Jata was there with the other Junta members, with their guards. Modbaji, we are all there. Because Babukar Jata was together with Modbaji on the same, they were all together.
What was Modubaji's rank at the time?
Modbaji, I believe that that time he was a captain, I think. Captain or Major, but he was among the senior officers of the Gambian National Army.
Do you recall if he had any particular role at the time?
Later, I heard that he was a commissioner to some, I think, North Bank Division. Then after, as the ambassador to Mauritania.
So all of the people that you mentioned as being present outside Mile 2, who then transported you to Fajara Barracks, were present when the shooting was going on?
Yeah.
Do you recall if all these people were shooting, or was just a few individuals who were shooting?
You know, I cannot identify who is shooting because, you know, all of them were armed. They were all having guns. When Sana said 1, 2, 3 fired, you had fired it all of. You cannot know who is firing and who is not firing.
You told us that some individuals fell to the ground. I'm talking about your group, the people who were being fired at. You said some individuals fell to the ground, other individuals ran away. Can we just start with the people who fell to the ground? Do you know if anyone was killed as a result of that firing?
Yeah, there was 2 gendarmerie officers whom I don't know them, but there were 2 gendarmerie officers, and I believe EB and this man Nyancho, I believe he was also there, who lost his life at Fajara. Yes.
So the 2 gendarmerie officers as well as Nyancho.
Yeah.
Do you recall if anyone else was injured at that time, as far as you could tell?
Yeah. The person who was injured was, to me, it seems to be Bineminte. But according to his testimony last time, he said he was not there. It makes me surprised because Bineminte's name was mentioned when we were at mile 2, when the Sana was calling the list. And Fajara also, his name was mentioned there. But when I was listening to his testimony, it doubts me that maybe either I mixed the name or something else has happened. But someone among them, either Minte or Jaju, Lieutenant Jaju, also was there. He was also among those who ran away. Lieutenant Jaju, who later joined those carton attacks.
Well, let's address the issue of Bineminte. You said that while you were at mile 2, Sana Sabli was reading out a list.
Yeah.
Was that when you just arrived at mile 2, or was that when you were leaving?
When we arrived mile 2, the guards there, before he accepted us, he brought a book where he wrote all of our names. He wrote our names there. Then when Sana came, that's the list he took from that prison warden, the prison officer, and then it was the list he was calling.
So from what you've said, Bineminte was mentioned when that list was being read out. Do you recall actually seeing Bineminte at that time?
At that time, before that, I never knew Bineminte. I just heard his name, but I cannot, when I stand personally with him, I cannot know this Bineminte.
So at that time, you were not in a position to recognize or... Okay.
Only heard of the name, but I cannot know, I don't recognize him personally because I'm not used to him.
So now at Fajara Barracks, your testimony is that you believe Bineminte was also there.
Yeah.
But you've already told us that he's not someone that you could recognize.
Yeah.
So it's possible that you're mistaken, is that correct? And when you heard his testimony, that made you doubt whether or not he was in fact there.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Lieutenant Jaju.
Yeah.
Recall seeing him at mile 2 as well as at Fajara Barracks, or was it only in one of those locations?
Yeah, I saw him in mile 2 and Fajara Barracks also, where he ran.
Prior to that, did you know Lieutenant Jaju?
Lieutenant Jaju? No, I met him once. He came to the training school. And he asked for assistance. He told me that I know that I heard that you are a good typist, so I have some documents for you to type for me quickly. I said, okay, but not now because now I'm doing official duties. It was after when we close work, that's the time I started typing his documents for him.
So it is your testimony that you recall seeing him at mile 2?
Yeah.
And as well at Fajara Barracks?
Fajara Barracks.
We have about 3 minutes left. Can I continue asking questions, Mr. Chairman? Thank you. So you told us that, so far you've told us that 3 individuals died as a result of that shooting at Fajara Barracks.
Yeah.
Do you recall around what time that event occurred, the shooting of detainees?
This was after 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. This was at that time.
Apart from the individuals who you mentioned as having been killed, you mentioned that there were individuals who escaped.
Yeah.
Do you recall who escaped?
No, those who escaped, actually, when I said this either Minte or Jaju, who was hit by bullets, had said, oh, let's do, I am bung. Meaning, I'm shot, let's run. I said, no. So there was a noise behind us that Sana was addressing that. Then that's the time these people started running towards the training school end.
So just to be clear, do you recall if it was one person running or
No, there were many.
There were many.
There were many. There were more than 3.
More than 3 people running away. I believe you also mentioned that some people were injured as well, apart from the people you've just mentioned now.
Yeah.
So those who were killed as a result and people who were injured but were running away.
Yeah.
Who else do you recall?
No, these are the people I can recall. Because, I told you that most of these TSG personnel, I was not used to them.
So after those individuals ran away, what happened next? What happened to you?
When they followed those people and they didn't never get them, when they came back, some of the soldiers came back that they didn't get them. That was the time I heard somebody was talking to Sana, that Akanyant. But that was Babakar Jata who was saying that to Sana. So that was the time we were ordered to board the vehicle again. And Sana told me, neighbor didn't see Kako. Meaning, come and get your relative. Then I have to come back and get Basir Baro again, transport him to the vehicle. Then I joined the vehicle. Then we left Yundum Barracks.
And which vehicle are you referring to? Is it the same truck?
The same vehicle.
I believe this is a good time to stop. Mr. Chairman, we'll proceed after the break. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you, Mr. Abdullahi. If the commissioners don't have any questions, we will take a 30-minute break and perhaps ask questions at the end of his testimony. Okay, no questions. Thank you very much. So we'll take a 30-minute break, come back at 12 noon. Meeting is adjourned.
to go with LF Jame
Yeah.
in order to attend a meeting that was supposed to take place, another meeting
Yeah.
that was supposed to take place between members of the junta and NCOs and other members of the army.
Yeah.
Upon your arrival at Yundum Barracks, there was an ambush and they started firing at you. You were arrested, beaten. There were also other individuals who were arrested and beaten at the time. You provided their names. Thereafter, you were put in a truck with these individuals as well for about an hour or so, and then you were taken to Mile 2.
Yeah.
At Mile 2, you were put in the remand wing, where you stayed again for about an hour or so. And then you were taken away from the remand wing of Mile 2 and transferred to Fajara Barracks.
Yeah.
This must have been around 2 or 3 a.m., and you were there until about 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
During that time, members of the junta, as well as their guards and other individuals, were shooting at you and other detainees. You mentioned that 3 individuals lost their lives. There are other individuals who were injured, and some people escaped as well. You also told us that at that point, you helped Lieutenant Basiru Barrow back onto the truck because Sana Sabali told you to pick up your relative.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened to Lieutenant Dotfal?
Lieutenant Dotfal was also carried by one soldier into the truck.
Do you recall who?
No, I can't recall who.
So you were all put on the truck.
Yeah.
Was it only the individuals such as yourself who had survived, or did it include the individuals that you also mentioned who were killed, actually? You mentioned 3.
Well, it was only me and Private Mafuji Sonko who were alive.
So is
Rest those who run away.
Is it your testimony that at that time, Lieutenant Basiru Barrow and Dotfal were killed?
No, at that time, Dotfal and Basir Barrow were not killed. They were suffering, but they were not killed.
So when you say it was only yourself and Mafoji,
We were the only 2 inactive. You know, those 2, Barrow and Fal, they were not active at that time. They were almost finished.
so apart from the 4 of you, who else was put in that truck before it left Fajara Barracks?
No, we were the 4, and and those who were dead were all put in the truck.
So it was the 4 of you and then the 3 who were
Killed,
killed. From there, you said the truck left Fajara Barracks.
Yeah.
Can you tell us where it went to?
From Fajara Barracks, this is where we head to Yundum Barracks. Straight to Yundum Barracks. We don't stop anywhere. We only stop at Yundum Barracks, where at the point we were arrested. That was where the vehicle stopped.
So you were in the truck with these individuals. Did you go to Yundum Barracks alone, or did any of the other people who were shooting at you?
Yeah, we were all, it was a convoy. We were all gone with the juntas, and the guards were behind the trucks, others were inside the trucks.
Do you recall when you arrived at Yundum Barracks?
That was around 6, probably 6 to 7.
Do you recall if it was already bright outside, or was it dark at that
It
time?
was not, it was a bit dark, not bright like, because the sun was not out yet at that time. It was before sun set.
But you could see.
Yes, you could see.
So from your recollection, around 6 or 7 in the morning, you arrived at Yundum Barracks.
Yeah.
So back to the place where you were first arrested.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened when you arrived?
Then as we arrived there, that was the time the first man who came to us was Alaji Kanyi, couple Alaji Kanyi, who came and bought the truck. He stood his other legs on the wheel of the vehicle, and the other leg was on my chest. Then he was with a torchlight, just put it on us, one after the other. He said, "Hey, these people are not yet dead. Give me the gun." So I don't know who gave him the gun, but he was given a pistol. Then that was the time he pointed on Basiru Barrow's head, then shot Basiru Barrow on his forehead. Then Dotfal also, he shot Dotfal on his forehead. Then he turned around onto me. He put the light on me again and said, "Mbadi." Then he come out from the vehicle.
What does Mbadi mean?
My relative.
What would you say to the suggestion that it was somebody else who shot Lieutenant Dotfal and Lieutenant Basiru Barrow, not Alaji Kanyi?
It will be a doubt of me, but this was in my presence. It's not a hearsay, it was in my presence. Alaji Kanyi came and bought the truck and requested for them to give him the gun. And he was given a pistol where he shot Basiru Barrow on the heads, then Dotfal on the heads, all on their foreheads. All here. That's where he targeted them.
After he did that, what happened next?
They were totally finished. Because from there, I just looked Basiru Barrow, I started crying. I hold his palm like this, and I say to him, "Allah will pay for you." Yeah. You know, Dotfal also was shot on the head, and he was just trembling like this. No, Dotfal, you know, as what we used to say, what the locally say, tool. There are certain jujus that people used to eat. When you eat, if you are about to die, maybe you feel something pain. But Dotfal, before he dies, yeah, it takes time.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, locally we call it jujus, or these jujus called tools. You know, some people used to cook and eat. Like even me, last time I once ate something like that. It's something that they will prepare for you, they cook it for you, and you will eat. And me, when I was eating these things, it was in Balangar, where I have those things told from this man, Kaba One. He's a grandfather to Dotfal. When I was posting at Farafenye, I used to go and meet that old dad in Balangar. That's where I have those things. I don't know what day, but I told him that, "Look, Pa, me, I don't have anything on my body, and I want you to help me." He just looked, laughed, and said, "Okay, wait." As we were chatting, he go inside the house, come back later, after he bring me a porridge, tell me that, "Come and eat." Then as I was eating the porridge, after eating the porridge, he came with a knife behind me, started hitting me with the knife. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "You say you don't have something. I give you something." "I'm giving you something." Then we laugh. Then after, he tell me, "Go."
So it is your testimony that something like that must have happened to Dotfal, which is why he didn't die immediately.
Yeah.
What could you observe from his body prior to his death?
What?
What could you observe from his body prior to his death? Because I'm trying to understand what you mean by it took a while for him to die. Was there anything in particular that you recall?
No, he was just trembling doing this, and his case was making sounds. It takes so many minutes before he stopped breathing, so hard breathing.
And was that before or after he was shot?
After he was shot.
After he was shot. So, according to your testimony, the two of them were shot.
Yeah.
What happened next? Did you stay in the truck or did something else happen?
No, that was the time Sana asked, how many are left there? Come down.
Who was he speaking to?
Sana was speaking to Alaji Kanyi. Then Alaji Kanyi is the one who told us to come down. And that time also, Sana told me, bring down your relatives.
So again?
Again, yeah. Then again, I have to board the truck, get Basir Baro until up to the edge of the vehicle. Then I drop down, I take him. He told me to carry him to the guard room.
What about the body of Dotfal?
A soldier also carried Dotfal again.
So you were told to carry it to the guard room? What happened?
That's where I left him. So and that's was time Sana also came and told me that in-law, he called me Mbita because he married to one of my niece, Barakatu Koli, from Bansa. Barakatu's mother was my sister. When I was going to school, my brother, Keba Dabo, who was my brother, used to go with Baikoli, the father of Barakatu. And his mother, Nasutu, Dabo, we are all the same family, the same Dabo family. So he called me in Bitang. Where are the documents that was in your possession? I told him, sir, I'm not in possession of any documents.
Do you know which documents he was referring to?
Well, I believe maybe when I was exchanging documents with LF Jammeh, I think it was in his presence, afternoon at the Fajara Barracks. I believe he was referring to that document. Where are the documents? I say, sir, I'm not in possession of any documents. Mbita, if you don't produce these documents, I will bury you alive. That's the time he said, RSM, get pickers and spade for him.
Who was he referring to as RSM?
He was referring to RSM Paul Gomez, called Papu. He is now a lieutenant colonel, I think. He told Papu, bring pickers and spade for him. I will bury you alive. If the gun cannot kill you, I will bury you alive.
What happened after he said that?
So after that, when they bring the spades, then that time he received a call. When he received the call.
On what kind of, how did he receive the call?
It was the mobile that he was holding. When he received a call, he said, yes, sir, yes, sir. I don't know whom he was talking to, but I heard him saying, yes, sir, yes, sir. Then that was the time they left to Banjul. Then I was put in a cell. I was in the cells. Later they came.
Before that, were you the only one who was put in a cell?
I was put in the cell together with Private Mafuji Sonko.
Please continue.
When we were in the cells, they later came back again. He said, where is my in-law? I said, where is my in-law? So, but before they bring me out again, he received another call.
So between the time when he received the first call and you were put in the cell, and he came again. Do you recall how much time had passed?
Maybe an hour ago. One can estimate 1 hour ago. So when he, second time, he also, where's my in-law, where's my in-law? Then he received a call again, he went back, they went back again.
Recall what he said when he received the call? Could you hear what he was saying?
Not only, yes sir, I heard. I know he was talking to a senior man of him.
And at the time, who was senior to him?
I believe it could be Yaya Jammeh. At that time, whom Sana will say, sir. I believe it was only Yaya Jammeh whom he will say, sir.
So you told us that you were put in a cell.
Yeah.
Where was that cell located?
Yundum Barracks, at the guard room.
Can you tell us from that cell what you were able to observe?
When I was put in the cell, later I heard the silence coming. So when they came, that was the time they come in with other soldiers. Because I saw them getting one soldier out of a boot of the vehicle.
What kind of vehicle was that?
It was a small. I think it was a BMW. It belongs to a commercial. It not belongs to the army. The vehicle doesn't belong to the army military. It was not a military vehicle. But it was a private vehicle. That when they come to the guard room, they open the boot, and they bring out a soldier by the name Sergeant Basiru Kamara, Tambula.
Do you recall if Sergeant Basiru Kamara had any particular appointment at that time? Was he in charge of any?
Sergeant Basiru Kamara was, I believe, at that time he was a driver. But he was residing in Brikama, where they arrested him.
Was he a driver for any specific individual, or was he just a driver in general?
He was a driver at one infantry battalion.
So just to be clear, from where you were in the cell, in the guard room, how is it that you're able to observe all of these things?
You know, the guard room, immediately when you enter the camp, after the first gate, that is the armory that you have first. And the cell has small windows at the sides, where if you stand, you can see any movements around the area. You know, when the vehicle comes, I saw they're pulling out him. When he stand, I know, oh, this is Sergeant Kamara. And he was brought inside the cell with us. Later, they brought Kedek A.M. Silla.
When you say later, meaning how long
after the coming of Basiru Kamara, then A.M. Silla also came.
Could you tell if it was from the same vehicle or was it from
it was from different vehicles.
Please continue.
Because when he met me in the cells, he told me, you are also here? I say, yes. Where do they get you? He told me that he was coming to the work. Upon arrival at the highway to get the transport, that's where they met him, and he was captured.
Do you recall who brought him in?
It was Sana Sabale and the team. Yeah. Then later when we were there, I was standing, I saw Lieutenant Gabriel Say. He was coming from his house. Immediately I arrived at the gate. He was halted by the guard there. And that's the time they were starting hitting him from the sentry box, then started kicking him up to the guard room. And they tell him that unrest. He said, what have I done? What happened? Then they undressed him, and he was also pushed inside to the cell where we are.
Do you recall how many people were beating and hitting Lieutenant Jibril Say?
How many?
How many people were beating him and hitting him from the sentry all the way to the guard room?
I think it was 2. But I can't remember, I recognize them because their head was mascot, they were covered with mascot.
They were covered with what, sorry?
They covered themselves.
What?
It's just like, it's a small piece of cloth, seems like when you see it, it's like a net, fishing net, but the small sizes.
What color was it?
It was green color.
Green.
Green, yeah.
You said that when he arrived, when they brought him into the guard room, he was undressed.
Yeah.
What about the other 2 that you mentioned?
Silla and Basil Kamara, they were all undressed.
When you saw Jibril Say in the guard room, can you describe to us if you could see any injuries on him?
No, I couldn't.
And as far as you know, were there any injuries on Sergeant Basiru Kamara as well as A.M. Silla?
No, A.M. Silla, there was no injury on him, but for Sergeant Kamara, there was a bruise on his ankle here.
And just to clarify, did you see the 2 of them being beaten? I'm referring to Sergeant Basiru Kamara and A.M. Silla.
No.
So after Jibril Say joined you in the cell, what happened next?
And we were there after when Sana said, bring them out. Then they were started getting us out of the cells. But
To be clear, at that time, there were 5 of you. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay. Please continue.
then they said, come out. So Say was the first person who came out. Then Basiru followed him, then Silla followed. Then Mafuji want to go. I'm the one who just hold him. I stepped my legs on his fingers. I said, where are you going? So he also stayed. Yeah, but these 3, they were started tying them. Their legs were tied, their hands were tied back, and they were put inside the vehicle.
So you weren't asked to come out and climb onto the vehicle?
Yeah, but I didn't come out. So when these 3 come, then they put them inside the vehicles. We 2 were left behind.
And which vehicle were they put in? Was it the same truck that you were in, or was it a different vehicle?
It was not a truck. It was, I believe it was a Land Rover.
A Land Rover?
Yeah.
Do you recall what color it was?
The military vehicles are on the same, always green colors.
So it's a military vehicle?
Yeah, it was a military vehicle that they were putting in.
Can you tell us what happened after that?
And others were there added to them, but those people who did not come to the cells.
Who do you recall?
According to the people, when we were, after coming from from the range, I had Alaji Kanyi personally. When they entered, Alaji Kanyi was holding a bayonet. And he just put the bayonets on the table, pam. He said, Bilengamo Baseme.
What does that mean?
I have bastard people. Today I have bastard them. So he came to the guard room and opened the tap. Then he was washing his hands because all his body was with blood. So he went back. Later, they started bringing more.
Okay, let's just address what you've said so far. So these individuals, the 3 of them, Lieutenant Jibril Say, Sergeant Basiru Kamara, and Cadet A.M. Silla, were tied and put in the truck.
Yeah.
And it's your testimony that other people joined them, but you only found out later.
Yeah.
When they were put in the vehicle, the Land Rover, they were driven away.
Yeah.
At that time, you didn't know where they were going.
No.
Do you recall what time this was?
This was around 10:11.
Was it the same day,
Yeah,
November
the same.
11th?
No,
or
the same day.
around 10:11, the truck left Union
Yeah.
Barracks. Do you recall when the Land Rover? Do you recall when the Land Rover came back to Union Barracks?
It came back maybe estimately 2 hours later. They were back. They came back. After when they were standing at the guard room, whilst we were in the cells, I heard them saying that someone was saying, "Akanala, akanala, afela, 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 afele." So at that time, I don't know who they were referring to.
Can you tell us what that means?
Eh?
Can you tell us
That
what
he
that
is coming, he is coming. That which means somebody was coming that they were looking for. They said, "Akanale, akanale, get him, get him." So, but I don't, at that time, I don't know who they were referring to. So after when they just moved back, after some minutes, then I heard gunshots just around the cookhouse.
When you say they, who are you referring to?
The Juntas.
Were they still with their guards at this time?
Yeah, they were still with the guards.
You mentioned a number of individuals. Was the Army Commander Babukar Jatta present at
Yeah.
that time?
Babukar Jatta, at that time, no, he was not there at that time.
What about Modu Baji?
No,
You
Mod
referred
Baji
to him
also,
as
I did not
Modu
see
Baji.
him at that time.
So it's mainly the members of the junta that you've mentioned,
Yeah.
Peter
With the-
Sinyate,
yes,
as
with
well
the,
as
and the RSM, Paul Gomez, and his twice Babukar Sanya, I think, yeah, Babukar Sanya. 002 Babukar Sanya. We are there.
so these individuals were present. Tell us exactly what happened. You said that you heard gunshots
I
around
had the
the
gunshot
cookhouse.
there. But after the gunshots, one of the soldier, I can't remember the name, but he was also a provo. I remember when he came to the guard room, he was saying EMCC, and he was crying. EMCC. This is the only thing he was saying.
Is that the same as AMCC, which you first referred to, or
No,
was this a
that one
different
was AMCILA.
AMCILA?
This one is EMCC.
Thank you for that
Yeah.
clarification.
And the soldier was crying, EMCC. That was the only thing he was saying, EMCC. Later, I asked, and they told me that it was EMCC, that they arrested him. They arrested EMCC, and he was killed.
So EMCC was killed by the cookhouse at Yundum Barracks.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we were there. After some hours, maybe around in the afternoon, they brought it in Otu Trawale.
In the beginning, you told us an Abu Tarawale.
Yeah, that's
W-
Otu Abu
same
Trawale. Yeah.
person.
It's the same Abu Trawale.
Please continue.
Abu Trawale was brought in. This man, Sergeant Sidi Manjang was brought in. Kairaba Kamara was brought in. Lance Corporal Modunjai was brought in with injuries, because when he came with the injuries, I asked him, "What happens to you?" He told me, "It is Peter who shot me on my legs, on his foot."
Which Peter was he
Peter
referring to?
Singati. He said it's Peter who shot him on his foot. He was bleeding.
So these individuals were brought to the guard room.
And Couple Jallo also was there.
Mhm.
Do I
Please
mention
continue.
Kairaba Kamara? Okay, Couple Kamara was there. Later, Balo Sedikan was also brought in, and he was arrested from, I think, from Farafenye. Couple Balo Sedikan. Then Yaya Damfa was also arrested. Baba Imane, Abduba, Lance Corporal Abduba, with one couple Damfa. But later in the day, he was released.
Is that different from Yaya Damfa that you mentioned?
No, it's
earlier?
different from Yaya Damfa.
So Corporal Damfa.
This couple Damfa, he was working with the MTO, Motor Transport Unit at Yundum Barracks. I believe after the death of Basiru Baro, he was the one who took in charge of the MTO unit. And he was promoted to Staff Sergeant, I think, and as overseeing the MTO.
What does MTO stand for?
Motor Transport Unit. This Damfa I'm referring to, he was staying somewhere around Latrikunda Sabiji. He was, no, his compound was not very far from the market where he was staying at that time.
So who else was brought to the guard room, to the cells in the guard room?
I think these were the people who were there, who were at the guard room.
So let me just go through some of these names. You mentioned Sergeant Sidi Manjang,
Yeah, Otu Trawale.
Otu Tarawale. You mentioned Karaba Kamara. What
Yeah.
was his rank at the time?
Karaba Kamara was a private soldier.
You mentioned Balo Sedikan. What was his rank at the time?
Balo Sedikan was a couple.
You mentioned the Corporal Jallo. Do you recall his first name?
Couple Jallo, I believe is Ablai Jallo. He's a medic. Yeah, he's a medic.
You mentioned Yaya Damfa. Do you recall his rank?
Yeah, Damfa was also a couple. I believe now he's, I don't know, a captain or a lieutenant with the Guinean still.
You mentioned Bye Bye Mane. What was his rank at the time?
Baba Mane was a private soldier.
So all of these individuals were brought in. You said that the one person you recall having injuries was Lance Corporal Modunjai,
Yeah.
who informed you
Jai
that
also was a medic.
he's the one who informed you that Peter Sinyate had shot him.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, did you notice any injuries on any of these other individuals?
No, it was only a couple Jai.
Can you tell us what happened after they were brought to the cell in the guard room?
We were there for a couple of weeks, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Then after we were taken to Yundum, we were taken to Mile 2.
So during that time, 2 to 3 weeks in the guard room at Yundum Barracks, was it only one person who was released?
Yeah.
Based on your testimony?
At that time, it was only that Damfa who was released. Damfa, the day he was arrested, that was the day he was released.
Do you know why he was released?
I don't know.
During the 2 to 3 weeks that you spent at the cells in the guard room at Yundum Barracks, did anything happen during that time? Did you find out any further information about the events of November 11th?
Well, that was the time we started asking each other, what happened? Some say it was a coup that was planned. Some say it was not a coup. But what I believe is it was never a coup that was planned. To my knowledge, it was never planned.
Why do you believe that?
Eh?
Why do you believe that?
No, I believe that the soldiers who were involved, if it is something that is planned, the way things are, it will not be in that way. Because I believe the soldiers who were involved in this case were the brains of the Gambian National Army at the time. They were the sole brains of the Gambian National Army, I believe at that time. And I believe if it was planned, it will never be failed. Because each of these NCOs, I believe in them that they were proper soldiers and they were fully trained. And throughout their service careers, they were all instructors.
During the 2 to 3 weeks that you spent at Yundum Barracks, did you see any of the members of the junta during that time?
It was only Peter Singati,
Tell us about that.
who normally comes, because he came to there more than 3-4 times. When he comes, he will just tell them to open the cell for him. When they open the cell, he will just march towards me directly, holding a pistol on his hand. But when he comes, when we were faced, he just bent his head, move back. Until after my release, one of my soul friend, Gereba Bojang, is a native of Brikama. When we meet, what he first told me was like Dabosima. He said Dabosima. I said, why are you calling me that name? He said, you see, our 4 times that we were coming to Yundum, we only come to eliminate you. Because Peter will be sitting with them and will tell them that today, Dabo is strong-headed, but today I'll get him.
Was there any particular reason why Peter Sinyate would target you in particular?
Anyway, Peter, I was working under him directly because he was the commandant of the training school and I was the acting chief clerk at the time. But before he was brought to training school, I believe there was one time when we were at Farafenyi, there was a time when this terms and condition of service was approved. So when there was a message that the soldiers who were not living in the barracks, their names should be reported to the army headquarters for them to be given house rent. At that time, my commander, Colonel Saliuku, was at Yundum, at the army headquarters.
What nationality was Colonel
A
Saliuku?
Nigerian. When I received the message, at that time we were attached to Farafenye, but we don't have any accommodation there. We were only given 2 rooms office, and our other room was joined with the other room of the 2 infantry battalion. And the officers were given, Colonel Saliuku was given a room. I believe Yankuba Ture and Sana Sabali, they were joined in one room. And the other room, like Conte was there. These were the only people who were issued accommodations. But the rest of the NCOs did not have any accommodations.
How did that lead to an issue between you and Peter Sinyate?
I'm coming there. When this memo came, so immediately I just reply. When I reply, I call my Colonel Saliuku at Army headquarters. Then I go to the communication room. The names were communicated to him, and he signed at the Army headquarters. After Peter, at that time there was senior military, senior officers were on the meetings at the Army headquarters. When Peter Singate, at that time he was overseeing the 2 infantry battalion. He came to the guard room to the orderly room, asked for the training school and the 2 infantry battalions to join and make a list for the soldiers who are supposed to have to be benefited from these house rents and transport allowances. When he asked Kopul Jallo about it, Kopul Jallo said, but Dabo have already sent his for that of the training school. He said, why should I do that? Who signed for that? I told him that I am a trained clerk and I know my duty. And my officer in charge ordered me anything that comes in, because when he is at Banyun, wherever he goes, I have all the numbers that wherever he goes, I have his numbers with me. So he said, but before you do that, you have to. I said, why should I ask you? You are on the 2 infantry battalion. I am at the training school. Then he went to RSM Jeng. He told RSM Jeng, why should Dabo do that? RSM said, but look, let me ask from Dabo first. RSM asked me what happens. I told him, RSM, training school, do we have any accommodation? He said, no. Then why should I wait for? And it was only to the training school that firstly can get these benefits. When I told him, the RSM Gen, that we did not have any accommodation here, we were not allocated any accommodations, then why should now the 2 infantry battalion, how can they squeeze us to have a room so that some of their men who are already allocated should also benefited from these house rents? I said, that is unfair. RSM told me, just knock my back and say, bravo. He told Peter, but this is a separate unit. From there, I used to take my time on his side. And also when the training school was coming to transfer from Fajara to here, Fajara, Vincent Jatta, who was in charge of 2 infantry battalion, said, I'm not coming for transfer. Peter said, I'm coming, because they were all of them want to work with me. Peter said he's coming with me. Vincent said, I'm not coming, I'm going to stay at Farafenye and I'll work with him. Until he told Peter that, look, you are a junior man to me. Last order, I said he is not coming. Then I just look, Peter, I just do this. Whilst everything was inside the truck, this is how I leave the camp. I've gone some meters after the camp. That's where I stay and wait Peter and others to come and join. But when we came to Fajara, me and Peter, since from that point, we always take our time. And there was a point when I went to Abu Trawal and I told him that, look, I want to transfer. I cannot work with Peter. Because Peter is an infantry soldier. He knows nothing about administration. And the way he was trying to take administration and the way I am trained, we cannot cope. This I know about him.
So the issue you had with Peter Sinyate was before the coup?
Yeah.
In relation to benefits and what you've explained regarding RSM Jeng. Thereafter, he still wanted you to move to Fajara Barracks and work with him.
Yeah.
But your testimony is you had a difficult relationship and you wanted to transfer.
Yeah.
So you feel that he targeted you for that reason, is that correct? So you were at Yundum Barracks for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
After that, where did you go next?
We were taken to Mile 2.
So before we move to Mile 2, I want to ask you a question in relation to your time at Fajara Barracks.
Yeah. No, Yundum Barracks.
I'm moving a step behind to Fajara Barracks.
Okay.
You said that you were at Fajara Barracks between around 2 or 3 to 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you recall if there was any shooting at that time at Fajara Barracks apart from what happened to you?
No, the only shooting that occurred at Fajara Barracks to my knowledge, was the time we were paraded and the soldiers were behind us. They were firing at us.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So you were taken to Mile 2 after being in Yundum Barracks for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Were you all taken to Mile 2? All the detainees?
No, I believe Abdullah was released before that. I believe. Because Abdullah was released earlier. He did not stay long with us.
According to your testimony, do you recall if he went with you to Mile 2 or he was released before you went to Mile 2?
Abdullah, I believe he was released before we reached Mile 2.
Apart from Abdullah, was anyone else left out before you were taken to Mile 2?
Yeah, it was only Abdullah and Damfa who were released at Yundo.
So you were all taken to Mile 2. Can you tell us what happened when you arrived there?
When we were taken to Mile 2, we were taken to the security wing number 4.
When you arrived at Mile 2, were you told why you were being detained?
No.
I'm talking about you in particular.
We were not told.
You were taken to security wing number 4.
Number 4.
Can you tell us what happened?
Upon our arrival at the security wing number 4, we met some officers there, senior officers there. People like the former IGP, Pastor Lajan, Dokuo, Chongan, Ibrahim Chongan, the former DIG, RSM Jeng,
DIG?
the Deputy Inspector General of Police of Operation, Ibrahim Chongan. We met RSM Jeng. We met Srif Gomez, Samsar, Captain Samsar, Captain Johnson, Captain Wilson, Captain Kambi, ASP Kebadiba, ASP Abu Jeng, Superintendent Turo Jauni, and Superintendent this man, Sirf Mbai, were the people we met there.
Can you tell us about the prison conditions in Mile 2?
It was horrible. Even my enemy, whom I hate much in life, I would not allow him to be in Mile 2 at that time. Because we were there more than a month. If I want to urine, I urine, do everything inside the cell. Toilets inside. And the food, I cannot understand what type of food that they were giving us. Because in the morning we eat porridge, they call papu. Afternoon, maybe rice with stew, full of water. Then in the evening, we have curry. But normally we don't, when they have this curry, when they come and ask us dry or wet or dry, we normally get wet ones, dry ones, for us to wash it ourselves. And the little left behind, that's the time what you can eat.
Can you describe your cell?
First time I was at the right end of the cell, just opposite to the toilet. At times, in the night, I'll just wake these people, senior until one day Chonga tell me that, look, I'll fight you. If you go out, if you are out in the morning, I'll fight you. Because what I used to do is when these rats are playing, rats are going up and down. I'll say, oh, okay, my friends have come. I started clapping for them. So they come up to near me. They don't run. You can count rats more than hundreds. You cannot know where they come from. And my cell was just directly opposite the main toilet. That was within the security number 4. It was later after, when some of the officers were released, that was the time I was moved to cell number 7. I was near, in fact, that was the time when Keba Sise was also there, the former Director General NSS. When Keba Sise was sick, and we negotiated for somebody to be with him. And Keba Sise was my uncle. When we negotiated with the officers, the prison ward officers, nighttime they'll just open my cell. Then I'll join him, Keba Sise, in his cell to assist him, because at that time Keba cannot do nothing. Late in the morning, before people started coming, they'll open this cell. Then I'll just take his chamber out, then go and wash his clothes. Then and I will be put into my cell also. We were there until one fine day. I forget the date exactly, when we were issued fruits from, they said it was from Red Cross. This orange. When I ate that orange, I was almost about to finish. When Sheriff Gomez was the one who sought. When they came and opened my cell, Sheriff Gomez was the very person who gave me this 5-liter gallon water. Sheriff Gomez was the one who put it on my mouth, forced me to drink. I drink almost to finish that 5-liter. Then when I started vomiting, when they called Dr. Gay from the RVH, when Dr. Gay came, he said, I ate something that contained poison. Since from then up to now, I don't eat orange. I don't trust seeing orange in my life. But they said the orange was from the Red Cross. But I don't know how it got, because we were in the cells, and they said these are the gifts from the Red Cross. That was the time after when I think Red Cross came there with one BBC correspondent, Elizabeth Ohini. That was the time those things happened. Then on that day, I spit on Singate's face. When they went and checked the toilets and other things, when he came, I just leaned on over my this and I just on his face. That's the time Elizabeth Ohini rose to me and asked me, who are you? And I told him, I'm Abdullah J. Dabo. Then he started looking the files until he said, okay, Abdullah Dabo. What happened? I said, I want to die than to be here. This is what if I do this thing to him, the next minute he'll come back to me and kill me and finish with me. When Elizabeth Ohini asked me whether I have any medical attention, I said these bastards. When our medics, the DNA medic, was standing, I said these bastards who wanted to kill me here with poisons. Then that's the time I just get a bottle of water with mahogany leaves and other things. I said, this is my medicine. This is what I'm caring about. During my period, I never attend even a paracetamol from them because I don't trust them. Even if I'm sick, I'll be able to manage with that, but I will never request any help from them.
You mentioned that Singate was present when the Red Cross visited. Is that correct?
Singate was there, Babukar Jata was there.
Which Singate are you referring to?
Edward Singate.
So you mentioned that you had a visit from Red Cross, but what about your family members? Did you see your family members at any time?
Only once, and that was 2 weeks before my release.
So you were in mile 2. Based on what you've told us, November 11th happened. Then you were at Yundum Barracks for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So should we say around December 1994, you were taken to mile 2?
Yeah.
When were you released?
I was released in March
Which year?
1996.
Can you tell us about when you received a visit from a family member?
No, that one is a friend of mine. You know, before, in fact, that man came to me that informed me that he get a visa that he's supposed to go to America. And that was 2 weeks, 1 week, the second week I was released.
So from November 1994 until March 1996, were you ever charged with a crime?
No.
Was a statement ever taken from you?
Yeah, a couple of statements were taken from me from the NSS, from the GNA military intelligence, CID's units.
Can you tell us when those statements were taken? Let's take each one. So let's start
Well,
with NSS.
the first one was after the first 4 months, when our statement was taken. Later, after some weeks, we were informed that we were supposed to go and appear before the commander,
Which commander?
the army commander.
Was it still Babukar Jatta?
Yeah,
at
it
that
was
time?
Babukar Jatta.
Please continue.
Then one day we were taken to Fajara Barracks to stand before the commander to see whether we'll be charged or not. But when we were lined up, Babukar Jatta came out and said, okay, you are here. But he said, why Dabo? Dabo is not here. Dabo is supposed not to be here. I told you that Dabo have no case to, according to the DPP, Dabo have no case to answer.
That's what Babukar Jatta said.
Yeah.
Do you recall when this event took place?
This was around after the first 4 to 5 months of our detention.
Apart from Babukar Jatta, who else was present there?
There, I think I seen most of the senior officers were there because, you know, when we are coming for the orders, they invite officers from the different barracks. But those people were inside the house, inside the office. Then that was when Babukar said that was the time I was taken back to the vehicle, this minibus Costa. Then I was taken back to the vehicle, then I sit and wait for them.
So when he said that you should be taken back because you had no case to answer, according to the DPP, what happened to you?
I was taken back to Yundum, Fajara, mile 2.
Were you released?
No. I was not there. I was inside the vehicle when these people were charged. They came and joined us in the vehicle. Then we go back to mile 2. I was there for another 4 or 5 months. When I was taken, when Captain Juf, Professor Juf, he was the military police head at that time, came for me again. He said, Dabo, Lucky Dabo. That's what he called me. He said, Lucky Dabo, because today you're going to see your family. So he told me, oh, hope you have all your baggage with you. I said, no, anything that I have behind, I'm okay for it. So
did you see your family?
I did not see my family. I joined him in his vehicle. We left mile 2 to Yundum Barracks, military police. I was sitting in his office when a telephone rang. I received, he started receiving the call. But immediately after when he received the call, the way he looked at me, I straight away know something has come to him. Because Captain Juf looked at me more than 5 minutes. He cannot talk. He said, Dabo, I'm sorry. I get an information that somebody said he will produce an evidence against you. So you will be back at mile 2. I said, okay.
Did he tell you who said that?
No, he did not tell me that. But he said, one couple said, I don't know which couple, but he said, one couple said he will produce evidence against you. So you are going back. So when we were going back, Fraser was very annoyed at that time because he was talking to one Sergeant Jassy. It was talking to Sergeant Jassy bitterly that, look, this man's case, let nobody involve me again anymore. Let nobody involve me in Dabo's case anymore. You try to kill this man, you cannot kill him, you want to charge him, you have no ground to charge him. Why are you keeping him? Why can't he join his family? Fraser was saying that until he cried. I told him, sir, everything is in the hands of Allah. If Allah said I will die in mile 2, I will die in mile 2. I am taking everything with food. Then this how we reach mile 2. They opened the gates. When my people, my colleagues see me, they were all surprised. That we learned that they were releasing you, now you are back again. I said, this is life. It's the army, it's the military, red or white. So I was there.
You mean by red or white?
Because somebody whom you said you are going to be released, there's something white. And later you said, no, he's not going to be released. Things are opposites. So this is why I say it's military.
Throughout this time, were you given access to a lawyer?
Never.
You told us that you weren't charged.
Never charged.
Yet you remained in detention,
detention
until March 1996.
Yeah.
What led to your release?
1996, one day I was there when one private Ablai Bojar came and told me that when I was even playing draft with Chongan, Ablai just come and hit me, say, hey, Ndoke, get up. Today I'll dismiss you from my office. I don't want to see your face here anymore. Last time you go, you come back. Now this time, I don't want to see your face. So then Chongan started clapping, say good luck, good luck. Everybody was saying good luck, good luck. Then we went. I went to the administrative center, where I met David Colley, who was then the chief officer there, and the deputy commander. David Colley told me that we get a letter from the army headquarters that you are released from detention, so we release you now. I told him, this is how I'm released? He said, yes. I said, thank you. This is how I left his office, then stand on the road. Luckily, the first vehicle that I saw was coming. I stopped the vehicle for a lift. Happened to be my cousin brother. And the brother, because he was not expecting me, he just passed for a long distance. When his younger brother was inside the vehicle, say, hey, look, but this is the lie. Then that's the time they came back to me and say, what happened? Where are you going? I say, I'm going to Army headquarters. I go straight to the Army headquarters. At that time, I met this man. This man was the commander at that time, Samsar. Then I went to the chief clerk straight. I said, Chief, but he said, Dabo, you are back? I said, yes, I'm back. He said, thank you. I said, but how? I am released. Nobody came for me. only you are released. Chief Colonel Otu Jah, at that time he was Abdul Karim Jah, told me that, Davo, anything that you say, via Allah. I said, okay, thank you. Then he told me that, go and have 2 days rest, then after you report to your unit. Then I do. After 2 days, I went to the training school. I reported there, I met RSM. This RSM, I'm talking Papu. At this time, he was the one in charge of the training school, as he was the commandant there. Then, when I reported him, I said, I'm back. He said, no, but what the information we have is that we have to discharge you. I said, yeah, okay, yes. I said, okay, thank you. I'll be waiting for you. Then I went home. After 1 week, I applied for my salary, because when I was on the detentions, my salary was not paid. Then I wrote an application letter applying for my salary arrears, of which I took to him. He signed. He told me to take it to Army headquarters. Then I went to the Army headquarters to meet the Army commander, Samsar. Samsar said he is not going to sign that document for me. I said, why? As the commander of the Gambian National Army, and I'm a personnel of the Gambian National Army, you say you are not signing this. For what reason? He said, look, Dabo, get out from my office, or else I will take you back to where you were. So I told him that he will take me back to where I was. But can you remember that you were also one time there? If I should be back there next time, you will also follow me there. He even wanted to fight me there that day. And I told him that, look, Wednesday I'm coming back here. I'm coming back again on Wednesday. Either I'll go to mile 2 or I'll die, but this paper must be signed or I'll die. He told me that if you step on my office again, you'll see yourself in mile 2. I tell him that Wednesday, today is Monday, Wednesday, I'm coming. Then prepare for me before I come. When Durcham was standing, Durcham told me that Dabo, take things easy. I said, no, these are not easy things.
What was Durcham's rank at the time?
Durcham, at that time, I think he was colonel, lieutenant colonel, I think, I believe. He was the deputy commander at that time, deputy CDS at that time. Major, that time he was a major. So Nurcham told me that, boy, he called me boy. He told me, boy, take things easy. I told him, no, this is not easy. I am arrested, detained for almost how many months? My salary is not paid. Now I'm asking for that. Now this man is telling me that if you should come to me, I will take you back to where I am. It's better I die. But Wednesday, I will either hook or hack, I will come. So luckily, that Monday, the following day, somebody among the Army headquarters came to my house and told me that, look, do you heard what happened? I said, no. He said, your man has been fired. I said, who's? He said, Samsar has been fired. I told him he's lucky. Then Wednesday morning, early in the morning, I asked where he was staying. Then when I know where he was staying, early in the morning, Wednesday, early in the morning, I wake up, I go straight to his gate. I start maybe some meters away from his compound. I stayed there until he came out from his compound. When I saw him coming out, I just compliment him, sir, good morning, sir. He just looked at me and said, Dabo, why are you what are you finding here for? I told him that today is Wednesday. I told you that Wednesday I'm coming and I'm going to the Army headquarters. He told me that, do you come to laugh me or what? Do you want to come to provoke me or what? I told him that, look, I tell you that Wednesday I will come, either I die or my paper is signed. From there, I continued straight to the Army headquarters. Upon my arrival at the Army headquarters, I met Nur Cham, who was coming from upstairs. Then when we meet, he said, hey, Jara boy, don't talk, don't talk. This is how he called, he said, come. He just go and sign all my documents. He said, go to the finance. I don't want you to comment. Because last time you comment to someone here, and he's out. Now today, don't comment on me. So this is how he wrote, he signed all my documents. Then he told me to take them to the finance.
So were you paid all the arrears that you were owed?
Yeah, the salary arrears I was paid. Later, I went back to the training school again, to Paul Gomez. I told him that now I want to know my fate. He told me, okay, go tomorrow, you come. And I told him that, but look, remember that last time when I was under detention, you came and tell me that you have something for me from my former boss, Colonel Saliuku. Where is it? He said, no, when you come next Wednesday, then I'll bring it for you here. So the following Wednesday, after I went to him again, when I said, yes, sir, good morning, sir, he only just pulled out my service, I think he's with me here.
Is that your discharge certificate?
Yeah. And this is what he gave me, that I'm discharged from service under Section 85 of the Gambian Armed Forces Act.
What is the date on that document?
Eh?
The date.
This was on the 12/4/2000.
Can we have the document, please?
This is my appointment letters. Yeah, appointment.
So while the commissioners look at that document, I would just like to ask a few more questions because we're coming to the end of your testimony.
Yeah.
And I would like to give the commissioners some time to also ask you additional questions. You mentioned earlier that Abduba, Lance Corporal Abduba, was released before you went to Mile 2.
Yeah, I believe.
What would you say to the suggestion that he went to Mile 2 as well?
Well, Abduba, to my belief, he was released very early. You know, Damfa was the one who was first released, because Damfa was released the very day he was arrested. But for that of Abduba, I don't think Abduba, yes, no, sorry, he has reached Mile 2. Yeah, he reached Mile 2 because his cell was next to me. You have Abduba, then you have me.
Thank you for that clarification.
Mafuji Songo was at the last cell, yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. While you were at Mile 2, are you aware if any members of the junta were brought to Mile 2 during that time? Can you tell us about that?
I think it was around January 95 when we were playing draft. A prison officer came and told us to go back inside the cells. Chongan asked why. At this time we go back to the cells. What happened? What is coming on? He said, no, we have an order that we have to go to this. You have to suspend all your breaks. So this is how we get up, we enter the cells. No, but we were very curious about what is going on at this time. So we had another knock at the door again, pam, 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 pam. So number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These numbers, if you are these cells, if you are there, anybody who is entering, if you stand on your bed, you'll be able to see that individual. Then when we saw group of soldiers entering with Sana Sabali, Sadebo Hydra, and their guards were tied up, and they were brought in. And they were taken to security number 5. You know, you have security number 5, then 4, you have number 5, then you have the 99 cell, Kamabaji ward.
So as far as you were concerned, that was security wing number 5.
Yeah.
What, if anything, happened to them during their time at Mile 2? I'm referring to Sana Sabali and Sadebo Hydra.
Yeah, Sana and others, when they were brought in, later soldiers come for them.
Which soldiers?
From the State House. Edward Singate and soldiers normally comes. Another times, Alaji Martin and soldiers came. When they come, they will just open the door, enter, go to straight security wing number 1. And later, what we heard shouting, oh, 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 this only thing we heard. They were started beating until they are satisfied, and they will go out. Because Martin, one day he was going, I don't know what, he dropped something behind. He came up to the gate, then he went back. And I heard that we were asking him, have you seen it? He said, yes, I have seen it. I don't know what was that, but something has happened. And he was holding something like, it's just like a case, if you see it, it's like these technicians, these electricians, the cases that they used to hold, something like that. When you see, you know that this is something connected to electrical.
What did you think it was?
I know it was only, they will only use against these people. Because when they were doing those things, later one of the soldiers came, prison officers came to us one day and asked this man's Pasala Jan, Keba Sise, and Chongan, and asked their permission that these people want to apologize them. Sana Sabali and Sadebo Hydra want to apologize them. Because Sana Sabali, according to Keba Sise, when Sana was born, his naming ceremony was all sponsored by Keba Sise. And Keba Sise is the one who sponsored Sana Sabali's educational career. And when Sana Sabali wanted to join the National Army, it was Keba Sise who helped him to join the National Army. And it's the same Sana Sabali who arrested Keba Sise. And he said he wanted to come and apologize to Keba Sise for that. Pastor Lajan also said Sana Sabali's father was his driver when he was working with the agriculture. And from that day, every end of month, he sent a bag of rice to their family at Kasakunda until the day he was arrested. So Sana said these two were his fathers, so he wanted to apologize them for them to forgive him what he have done to them. They accepted, and they come, apologize. They all kneel down on their knees, apologize for them to forgive them. And Sadib Adra also appealed to Chongan, but Chongan said he don't want to apologize. And I believe that the Chongan told him that if there is, look what Mandinka said, Karamo, someone who takes you, if it is something true, Sadibu, if that is true, you will die in prison here. Sadibu, I am the one who trained you. And it's because of your promotion to be a commissioned officer, I was demoted. And now this is how you pay me. Allah also will pay you. I don't accept your apologies. Later, when we were out for daytime, They also used to come. They join us. Sirif Gomez is the one who was taking us for physical fitnesses. Every morning he forced everybody to train. He don't allow anybody to sit. He will say everybody early in the morning when we are out, Sirif Gomez will force us to be running outside within the premises. Then after we go and have our shower, then we go and play drafts and other games.
So from what you've told us, Sana Sabali and Sadibu Haidara were beaten by Alaji Martin and others.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Edward Sinyate on one occasion.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything in relation to that particular occasion? What I'm trying to ask is, are you aware if Edward Sinyate did anything to Sana Sabali and Sadibu
Yes, that
Haidara?
day also they were beaten.
While Edward Sinyate was
Yes,
present?
they were beaten.
I want to quickly come back to the certificate of service that you've provided. It says here that you were discharged from the Army on the 31st of March, 1996.
Yeah.
And I'll just read out a comment that was made about you. It says, ex-Private Dabo Abdullahi was a serving member of the Gambia National Army from the 25th day of August, 1991, until 31st March, 1996, when his service was no longer needed by the Army.
Yeah.
During the period under review, Abdullahi was found to be a fairly good clerk. I therefore do not hesitate to recommend him to anyone, company or organization that may need his service. And it's signed 13th of April, 2000. And it's by the commanding officer at the time. I can't read the name, but that's it at the time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. My last question before I hand over to the commissioners is that you were imprisoned for a very long time, almost about 16 months. You were never charged, and you were subsequently released. Can you tell us what impact that had on you and your family?
Well, the impacts on me is, well, because as a young soldier, and when I was released, and the condition that I met my family, especially my mother at that time was almost out of, one could say it, she was almost about to be out of people, because people used to say, you wanted to be a mad woman, because we were only two, and the other brother is working at the Biba for this Al-Quranic. He was at the school at this Arabic school with Jason Toure, and I was the only one who was helping the family. And when these things happens to me, I started from zero again. And I went back to family. The family was even worse than what I have experienced in Mile 2. What I experienced with my family is more worse than what I experienced in Mile 2. Because in those days, after my release, the late 96, we were joined the UDP as the UDP security. After the 1996 election, 97 parliamentary election, then I went back to my hometown again, and I was the UDP village chairman. And in our compounds, that's where we have the chief, and that's where we have the alcalo in our compound. And those people see me as an enemy to them, because one day one brother who was the alcalo stood and said, look, you being in opposition is not fighting Yaya Jammeh, you are fighting our leadership here. But we will also fight you. And one day the chief too also tell me that, look, you are with UDP, but if you don't leave UDP, you will never enjoy your life. And as a family, we are to stay together. I cannot do anything without them, and they cannot do anything without them. If they should tell me such things, how will I be feel in the society? At times, if I'm living out of my house, I cannot use the main gate, the compound main gate. I used to use the back gate in order to avoid them. This I was, but later what happened, I said, look, these people are looking for something better for them. Why not I also take myself to make sure that nothing has happened to me as a soldier. I take everything as, it's a foolish thing. Don't mind them. Until 2007 parliamentary election, as the UDP divisional constituencies coordinator, we went, I was supposed to, that on that 2007, I was supposed to contest for the UDP as candidate. But there was certain problems within our constituencies that I was unable to do. When Kekoi Bajo came and said he's going to stand, I told him, Kekoi, I can give you everything and I can stand behind you. But me, I cannot stand. But if you said you can stand, I will stand behind you. Then we nominate Kekoi. After the nomination of Kekoi one day, I was coming from Breng to Pagaliba with my bicycle. I was attacked in the bush with unknown gunmen. So they tell me that, today we tried you so many times, we don't get you, but today we get you. Today we will kill you. You are our target, you are our problem here. You are the very person why APRC is losing votes in Jara East here. But today, I know from today, APRC will continue winning here. So when we were in that disputes, when I heard somebody's voice whom I recognize, and I called him his name directly, he said me, yes. That's the time he removed the cover from his face. I told him, what are you doing here for? He told me, Dabo, I told you that leave UDP. Leave UDP. If you don't leave UDP, you may lose your life. If you don't leave UDP, you lose your life. And the others said, no, there's nothing like leave UDP. We'll finish him today. And that man said, no. As far as I'm concerned, today I will intervene. And today I'll make sure he's going to promise me here that he's going to leave UDP. If not, anytime we get him again, he's going to face the consequences. Then I went home and said to my mother that what happens. My mother said, now what is your decision? Look, UDP is here forever. If you leave UDP today, tomorrow you can come back to UDP. For the safety of your life, please, you leave UDP. Then the following morning, I also called the APRC chairman, Alaj Fabu Sise. I called him directly. I told him, Fabu, yes, it's me, Ablai Dabo. Which party do you know me? He said, UDP. I said, from today, I'm no more the UDP chairman. I'm no more UDP district mobilizer. I'm no more UDP divisional assistant secretary. Alaj Fabu went to Gamtel and asked, did Ablai Dabo came here? They said, yes. Then he came to my house with some members of his party to find out whether it's the same Ablai Dabo who was calling him. I said, yes, I'm the very person. In my house, where I have a big picture of Usainu Dabo. He made the picture I take it from up, then he made it down. I said, from today, I'm no more UDP, I'm APRC. Then within 2 days, everybody in the Jara East started calling who was coming from everywhere. That Dabo, you moved to APRC. I said, now I'm APRC. I was there until 2008 when there was this area council election that I am going to be contested as APRC candidate for Jara East, Pakalba Ward. I said, fine, and they tell me to apply. Then I apply. But later, some days before the election, nomination, one of the Sampakande, one day called Sampakande, I told him, look, are you interested to be a councillor? He said, yes. Go and apply. He said, but I heard that they said nobody is going to apply. You are the only nominated candidate. I said, no, go and apply. So Sampakande went and applied and came and told him that go and give it to Fabu. Fabu said, no, but we've already selected Ablai Dabo. And Sampakande told him that Ablai Dabo is the one who told me to come and apply. Fabu called me and said, yes, I'm the one who said let him apply. I'm not interested for it. Then after this time, I completely left Jara. Nobody know where I was. I at times go to Casamas, maybe some gigs come back to Gambia. Then I'll not go to Jara, I'll come to Combo here. This is how I make them lost me completely. Nobody know where I am. Up to date, I have never participated in any political activity. Even where it's a group of people, when I see a group of people, I'll avoid them.
Well, Mr. Daba, thank you very much for that. I will leave it at that. Thank you very much for testifying. I will hand over to the commissioners in case they have additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counsel, for that, and thank you very much, Mr. Blaidabo, for your testimony. One quick question, which is not intended to allude to your state of mind, rather to know the situation that you were in Mile 2, and perhaps an indirect commentary on the conditions in Mile 2. When you referred to clapping in the night, hundreds of rats coming to you, go. Was it for months? Did the rats recognize your clapping and that they would come to you? You probably weren't singing for them to come to you. Again, as I said, I'm not making any commentary on your state of mind, but just want to know what Mile 2 reduced some detainees to. But how long did that go, your encounter with the rats in Mile 2?
Well, the encounter with rats was normal routines. It's every day. That is every day. When after 7 o'clock, you see rats coming. You don't know where they come from. You can sit on the toilets, you can sit and count rats.
But they were coming to you. You were clapping. I thought you said you were clapping.
Yeah,
and
my
they probably recognized.
My cell was just directly opposite. This is how I just directly opposite the toilet, and it was open. There was no door. So anything, even the morning, daytime, somebody who is using the toilet, unless I go and lie down on my bed. But if I don't lie down, if I am standing, if you are at the toilet, anyway, anything you are doing, I'm seeing you. Because there was no door, it was open. So when these rats started looking for foods, they were fighting. So when they started that, I said, this Senegalese Rasulman, this man, the father of Balagay, forget this man. So I said, okay, that's my Rasula. And I used Chonga, and I told Chonga, look, this one is a Fuller man, this one is a Fuller Rasul man. Then we have the Jolas, we have this. Then I started making noise. At times they will tell me, look, don't disturb, you are disturbing us. At times I'll be there and say, hey, it's coming, they are coming, oh. And when I started, hey, Dabo, don't disturb. I say, look, Sana Sabal is coming. Be on alert. You know, early in the morning when we had the silence, everybody will be quiet until the silence is past us. And the evening too also the same thing. When we had silence, even if you are sleeping, you will wake up. Because we know that problem is coming.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Commissioner Kinte? You have a lot of questions. But Kinte, please go ahead.
Not so much. Hello, Dabo.
Yes, sir.
In your explanations, you told us 3 people were killed in Fajara and brought in the car along with you people, together with Basiru and Dot, who, according to your explanation, were half dead, and they were shot on the head in there. What about Fafanyang? Because at one time you mentioned his name, but I haven't seen anywhere you have said how he was killed.
No, Fafanyang was among the Fafanyang was among the 3 that were killed. Fafanyang was among the 3 that were killed.
Okay, you mean at Fajara?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the explanation given by one testimony given by one person suggested that, or said, he was beaten and the waist broken and was dumped alive in the grave and was, shot, many times in the grave while, those are conflicting. That's why I thought, I was worried which one of the stories.
No, Fafanyang was arrested on the first phase. Fafanyang was arrested on the first phase. Fafanyang was arrested together with Basir Baro and others. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Carr?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Carr, I want to ask how you were able to survive when you left Jara and went into Casamas and also coming to Combo.
Well, I used to call myself, I'm a rubber man. And any work that I have, that's what I do in order to have money. If missionaries are going, I go with them. If the laborers are going, I go with them. At times I go to the fishing. When I go to Casamas, I go to Kafunting, that's where I use for fishing. Because me, I have no destination. Where to have money is fine for me. Yeah.
Question is, did your family know whether you were detained, when you were detained, and were they allowed to visit you?
Well, my family were not informed, because when we were at Yundum, I remember one day my uncle used to come and they would tell him that, look, we don't know who is Dabo. One day I was just standing over the window. I saw my uncle talking to the guards at the gate. Then I said, Bambung, Bambung, because that is the nickname for him. When I say Bambung, Bambung, he turned around and he told them, look, you say you don't know Dabo, but the one I'm asking is the one who is calling me this name. Because without him, Dabo, Bambung, the person who will call me Bambung is going to be someone who knows me very well. And this man who was shouting my name, Bambung, Bambung, can I see him? And they tell him, no, you cannot see him. So I never see any of my family members throughout my stay at detention.
Thank you. Deputy Chair? Adelaide?
Thank you, Mr. Dabo. I just want to understand this discrepancy in your discharge. You were discharged on the 31st March 1996, and the document was signed on the 12th April 2000. Can you please explain the discrepancy to me?
These intervals, when at times you go today, they'll tell you, okay, go next week, you come. This is how it moves until this day. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Jones? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I will. It's not. Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Jones, Mr. Dabo, you did mention during the ambush in 1994 that LF Jame left the car and ran out into escape. Do you know what happened to him after he escaped from the vehicle? And my second question, in 2008, when you left Jara and went to Casamas, were there any threats towards your family that you left behind?
Whether I repeat that question.
Any threats?
Any?
Any threats on your family when you went away from Jara in 2008?
LFJ, okay, for your first question. LF Jame, after when he ran away, later when I heard that he was involved in the carton attack, and he was arrested, taken to Mile 2. Later, I heard that he was executed with the other 9 inmates who were executed from Mile 2. And your other question, say?
And the second question, when you ran away in 2008,
Yeah.
were there any threats directed to your family members when you left?
Well, the threat that was to my family is the same problem that I'm still suffering. Because when I left, later my mother also left from my brother at Buiba. Then this how my family, my house was left until everything was collapsed. I lose house. Up to date, I don't have house. We are staying with people up to date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Samba.
Good afternoon, I'm Commissioner Samba. Mr. Dabo, I want to know what was your rank the time you were arrested?
Well, when I was arrested, before I was arrested, I was promoted to sergeant directly, and I was supposed to be decorated on Friday, 11th November, that I was supposed to be decorated to the rank of sergeant, but it was never taken. I was remained private soldier.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Imam Jallo.
Mr. Dabo, it seems there was much hatred, bitterness among the ranks of the armed forces. Can you explain what is the circumstance that is surrounding this animosity and hatred?
Anyway, the circumstances around this effect came after July 22nd takeover. You know, July 22nd takeover, when Yaya Jammeh took over, the strategy that he was using against the soldier is you make sure that he used this, the former TSG personnel against the army. Even if they want to do something to you, he will use those people, say that this is what you've done. Or maybe I'll come and say, yes, I am this man, we want to plan something, which the intention was not to plan something, but the intention was there to put me in trouble. This one will accept that, yes, we accept something that we want to do these things. In order to get rid of DNA personnel.
Thank you very much. Bishop, did you ask for? Yeah, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Abdullahi Dabo, you mentioned at one point that you were given orange to eat, which supposedly came from the Red Cross. Do you know whether you were the only one who was given the orange to eat, or other detainees were also given orange to eat?
Now, when they were issuing us, it was put in, each one will be put in an envelope, and your name will be written. So I received an envelope which contains orange. And I just split them, put sugar, milk. I said, today this is going to be my dinner. But when I eat until I almost finish, I cannot sit. My stomach was just like when you get a piece of cloth, try to do it like this. This is how I was feeling my stomach until I have to drink water until I vomit. When I vomit, 3 days, even to stand, I cannot stand because my legs cannot carry me. I was totally collapsed. But according to them, it comes from the Red Cross.
Thank you very much. Council, if you have any further questions, you may go on. I think that's the last number of questions from the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We have concluded. It's just to ask the witness if he would like to make a final statement. So, Mr. Dabo, thank you very much for your testimony. We have come to the end, and this is your opportunity. If there is something you would like to say either to the Gambian people or to the commissioners, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Council. First of all, what I can say to the Gambian people is, let's all Gambians change our attitudes. And let all the politicians stay away from the military. Let them have no interference with the security of the Gambia. Because what happens was directly interference politicians with the security. This is what caused where we are in today. Let all of us change our attitudes towards each other. Let's restrain from party politics. What I mean by party politics means tribal politics. Because Gambia today, there is a tribal politics in Gambia. Whoever is saying I'm saying that there is a tribal politics in Gambia. Because I can give samples like UDP. 95% of Mandinkas are all following UDP. 95% of Fulas are all following GDC. 95% of Jolas are all following APRC. And if we would stand and say there is no tribal politics in the Gambia. If we don't restrain ourselves from that, never again will fall again. And also, I'm appealing to the Commission to recommend to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to reform GNA and the other security sectors, police, NSS and others, NIA and SIS and others. Because without reforming the security sectors, never again will come again. Intimidation, we have to be very mindful about it. If a sergeant can stand and say a word to a captain, or a sergeant can direct a general, do you think that state we can say never again will happen? We must respect each one as one Gambians. And the more we respect each other as one Gambians, that's the time I believe we can achieve never again. But if we don't be mindful about this rival politics, Gambia, never again we succeed in it. The only thing we can succeed is let's know that Gambia belongs to all. Anything that you have, I should have. Anything you see, I should see. I believe if we are united, never again slogans will be honored. But I want to be a millionaire, or I want to drive a luxury car, and I want to make sure that you are sovereign. Do you think if I have chance to get that luxury car from you, do you think I will not do it? I will do it. And also, I want the commission to recommend those perpetrators who were doing these things to Gambians, fellow Gambians, illegally, should be brought to justice. Because we are sovereign, we have suffered, and we are still sovereign. And those who make our servants are seeing them driving luxury cars, holding government officials, government positions. How will we see that government? We said we've changed the government. Jammeh's government has been changed. And the same people in Jammeh's government are still in Adam Barrow's government. We, the victims, how will we see Adam Barrow's government? To me personally, I used to say that anywhere I go, since the formation of Barrow's government, I voted for him. But since the formation of his government, I never attend any of his meetings, any of his programs, because I don't have confidence in them anymore. Seeing Lantombon Tamba as the security advisor, seeing Mohamed Baji as the security advisor, seeing Alaji Kanyi as the divisional commissioners, where will our fate be, we the victims? Where will we be? We suffered for the first 22 years, and we still continue suffering on the same different regimes, so-called regimes. Because I'm seeing today that Yaya Jammeh has gone, Adam Barrow has come. But the people on ground still remain. This is why at times when I see public, before I enter, I have to take my time. Because I'm not even confident with them. If I can see the same person who were doing these things to us are in the same position again, still on the same position in the government. Obviously, even if Adam Barrow want to appoint me as a minister or what, I will not take it if these people are within him. Because not only me, all the others who were served during Jammeh's regime, either a soldier or a civilian, no changes, nothing has changed. When shall we have our freedom? And when shall we have our liberty? We continue to be a victim. And still, that's what I tell people. I used to call myself the chief victim. Because I suffered during Jammeh's 22 years, and the 2 years of Adam Barrow, I'm still suffering. Because since Adam Barrow came to power, no changes to me. On my side, no changes, and my family too, there's no changes. I know how I am feeling, but the person who went and received me today, when he can bear how I'm living and where I am living. I am married with eight children, with one adopted children, living in 3 meters by 7 meters squared. All of these people are living in that condition still. If we go out, we see the same structures, the same movements. Last time, there was a day when I called my wife. I told my wife that today I am going to merge myself to the IGP. with all my documents, and I will surrender all my documents to IG, and I will tell him that from today, I no more want to be a Gambian. Even if I go and die somewhere else, but I will never die as a Gambian. And up to today, this is the concept I'm having. I never thought to be a Gambian anymore, because what I have passed through, I'm seeing the same thing is still going on. So when shall I be free? When shall I be free? Please, the politicians, the intellectuals, let's try to be united. Let's try to be united in order to achieve the slogan, never again. But without attitudes, our changing of our attitudes, I believe never again will come again. And we pray to Allah that never again should remain never again. Gambia is non-peaceful. Gambia is non-peace. And we still pray to Allah that Gambia remain peace. Because without peace, nothing will be good. If you have $1 million in your accounts, you have a luxury cars, a poor man with a gun can destroy all your millions. And what achievement do you have? At the end of the day, you all end up with zero. And what can cause that? Because what you want yourself, you don't want others to have that. Also, the security, especially the police, especially the Gambia Police Force, is an institution that the government has to concentrate more. Because you have a case at the police station, the police will tell you that we don't have vehicles. Or you have an information that a security threat to the police, you tell them that the police will tell you that we have no vehicle. Because last time, I personally, we saw something strength around this Tujere and Sanya end. And the police, what we reported, who was telling us that there was no vehicle that we can go. And later, when we go back to that place, we don't meet those people there. Our institutions like police, army should be fully structured in order for them to serve us as our sons and daughters. And the life you save may be your own. So I'm appealing for the government to consider the security sectors very seriously, because security sector being seen something that they need and they cannot get it, and they are with arms. They can do anything, and they'll run away. Nobody will know what happens, because the last regimes of the last parts of Jammeh's regime, this is what happening. You see something, and we ask the government, say they don't know about it. Who were responsible? These armed attacks and the banks and others, how it comes about, who knows? Who are behind those attacks? So I'm appealing for the government and the Trrc to recommend to the government for security reforms. Our security section needs to be reformed totally. The bad ones among them should be out of it. They should be out and brought to the justice. Because people like, I named my body like Alaji Kanye, people like him, who in those 94, we call him Mofa Kanye. Now he's the divisional immigration officer. Do you think LRD is safe? People like those as the commander of this division. Chairman, I think I'll stop here for. Thank you for giving me a chance. I thank you all. For any, I apologize if any inconvenience, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davo, for those concluding remarks and for your testimony. And thank you also for the suggestions specifically addressed to the Commission. Our task is really to promote healing and reconciliation. I know you've been hurt. Quite a few people have been hurt. No, not few, many have been hurt during these 22 years. But we hope we would carry out the job given to us to promote healing and reconciliation. But thank you so much for agreeing to come and testify before us. Thank you, indeed. We will finish for the afternoon session and then come back at 3 o'clock. I think a 1 hour break should be all right for us. Thank you. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Anyway, sorry, I want to recommend one Abdullah Bojang, who was a prison officer. I want the Commission to recommend Abdullah Bojang for the good loyalty that he was doing for us during our stay in Mile 2. Abdullah Bojang was a private soldier who claimed to be a relative of Yaya Jammeh. But Abdullah is with a difference. Abdullah Bojang, wherever I pray, whenever I pray, I used to pray for him because Abdullah tried for us very seriously. At times there are other difficulties that they were trying to put on us, but it was Abdullah Bojang who will insist. I could remember one day Abdullah Bojang stood and told his sergeant, look, you said you are a Jola, Yaya Jammeh is your relative. What type of relation do you have with Yaya Jammeh? Yaya Jammeh is my uncle. And today, if from here, I'm going to have my lunch at State House. And that's what he did. He went to State House and had his lunch there, come and join us again. He said, look, these people are human beings like us. We should treat them as how we are treating ourselves. So I cannot leave this room without recommending the Commission, Abdullah Bojang to the Commission. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that recommendation. We will meet again at 3 o'clock sharp. I hope we are ready for that session, Council, or the legal team.
Mr. Chairman, my apologies for being absent during much of this testimony. We would endeavor to be ready. I do hope that we would not be held hostage by the technical difficulties we encountered yesterday. But indeed, we would do our utmost to ensure that we have a smooth hearing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Brilliant. The meeting is adjourned. We come back at 3 o'clock sharp.
Thank you.